What if I told you that you can build your own app from scratch without any coding knowledge and without any experience? You'd probably say I'm crazy. Well, to prove it to you, over the next 60 minutes, I'm gonna be doing exactly that with two of my favorite AI coding tools, Lovable and Supabase. And I'm gonna be breaking down every step of the process. Building the app, connecting it to the database, creating authentication, and then connecting it to a custom domain. And of course, I'm gonna sprinkle in a little bit of AI as well. And because we have so much to cover, let's jump straight in. Okay, so first off, what are we actually gonna be building? Well, before building We Are No Code, I was actually the director of a startup accelerator program here based in LA, and I used to train founders, and then we would help them pitch on stage at Google to raise money from investors. And so as part of that role, I was often invited to come and speak on panels at startup events. And I remember this one event called Tectonic. As soon as I stepped off stage, I had a bunch of founders who lined up to come talk to me. And each one of these founders was pitching me on their startup idea. But I'll never forget, when I left the convention center, I pretty much didn't remember 90% of what these companies actually did. And that's because they would just deliver a huge wall of information, and that's because they didn't have experience pitching. And so I had the idea to transform a founder's voice talking about what they're doing into a highly optimized one-liner and a pitch deck structure. And so it's basically your AI pitch mentor who's trained on the best practices for pitches. And now that we have the idea, my friends, it's time to jump into the build. This, my friends, is Lovable, and I'm not gonna lie, I love it. It's basically an AI coding platform where you can just type in a prompt and it's gonna build out an entire app. In fact, it's so powerful that you need to kind of contain it sometimes because the latest models are really ambitious. And remember that everything that you build on the front end, you're gonna need to implement on the back end. And we're gonna talk about that other amazing tool, Supabase, in just a moment. The first thing I'll do is create a first prompt for Lovable. So how am I actually gonna create this prompt? So the first thing I wrote here is build an app that transforms an audio recording of a founder talking about their idea into a highly optimized one-liner and a pitch deck structure. So the next part of my prompt is going to be telling it what a user should be able to do. A user should be able to record their voice talking about their idea and have AI create one result that includes the one-liner and pitch deck structure based on Guy Kawasaki's pitch deck formula. Meaning this should transcribe the audio into text, send that text to OpenAI, and receive the optimized version back. And the second thing I'm gonna put here is the user should have access to a library of their optimized pitches and should be able to edit, delete them once they are created. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is tell it some of the technologies that we're gonna be using to build this out. So I will be using OpenAI API and Supabase for this project on top of Lovable. And this is one of my several approaches to prompting, is to tell it to start only with building out the landing page, and then we'll build on top of that. Please first build only the landing page, and then we will move on from there. And now we're gonna shoot that, and look at what happens. This is what I love the most, is basically seeing it interpret everything that you've done. See it start to spin up a preview by actually writing out all of the code inside of here. And this is what impresses me every single time. Isn't AI coding amazing? Let's go have a little nap. No, this is gonna take just a couple seconds, so I don't even have time for that. And boom, just like that, we are here. Pitchdeck.ai, that's probably taken, but let's go ahead and check it out first of all. So as you can see here, so this is really cool. Transform your startup idea into a winning pitch. Record your idea in your own words. Our AI turns it into a compelling one-liner and pitch deck structure based on Guy Kawasaki's proven formula. I love that. And so basically it already gives us an image, which is really cool. It really represents what people will get as an outcome. Here, come a bit down, how it works: record, process, transform. Man, this is really, really cool. Powerful features, love it. And then testimonials before a last call to action. Well, wow, you know, this has already done a really good job here, I think. Now, I could take my time to fine tune this, but honestly, I'm already really happy with the way that it's pumped this out. And the one thing I don't like that much is the logo. So let me go ahead and adapt that. Please create a tech forward logo and change the company name to PitchPal. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now it's changed it to PitchPal, but I would like for it to have an icon. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this. This is a really great feature. And we can just basically, based on that, we can have it adapt. Please add a cool icon before the name of the company in the logo. Boom, excellent. And now we have that little rocket. I like it. Now, before I move on to the next step, and because I want every single page that's created after this to reflect the design elements of my landing page, I'm gonna change up the design here. And the way I like doing this the most is actually grabbing some screenshots of another website that I really like. So I'm gonna go and look for inspiration. And for that, I usually go to a website that has a bunch of templates. Awesome, so I found this really cool template, and this is not exactly how my website will actually look. But I do want it to follow the brand elements. So what I'm gonna do is do a couple of screenshots of this. So let me go ahead and just grab the overall thing here and then grab this. Then I'm gonna grab a couple additional sections. These cards are a good example that I can feed the AI. Here's the pricing plan. And once I'm done with that, I'm gonna come back inside of my Lovable project and click on attach. And here, I'm basically going to attach all of these, and I'm gonna create a prompt, open. It attaches all of these screenshots, and then I'm gonna write a prompt underneath it that tells it that I would like for this to use the same design principles or the brand guidelines. Could you make this website dark mode and use the same design guidelines as the screenshots I just sent you? Please do not change any of the content of our website, just the design. So now I'm gonna go ahead and click on that. Boom, okay, and just like that, as we can see, now there are some little issues here. I can easily just change them, but now we are going for the dark look. Love it. Excellent. Okay, cool. So let's say that now you're happy with the design of this. And here, let me just quickly adapt this. I'm gonna go ahead and click on this. And so I can open it up just like that. And then I'm gonna come here to the font color, and I'm going to change it to black. There we go. So this is also really cool, and you don't need to use credits for this as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and save it. And so now we're ready to enter the next phase, but before that, let's actually look what it looks like live. Very cool. Nice. Okay. And by the way, if you have an idea and you don't know how to code, and you maybe have started a project leveraging AI, but it always seems to get stuck in the middle, it's probably because you didn't learn the foundational pieces. And unless you want to be continually a slave to developers every single time you have an idea, I highly recommend you take things in your own hands. And that, my friends, is the exact reason why we created the AI Coding Bootcamp, where we're going to teach you literally and transform you over 30 days from the idea person to the person who's able to take action with their ideas. You're going to be learning platforms like Lovable and Supabase to bring your ideas to life. Because once you learn the methodology of building, launching, and getting customers, there is no stopping you. It's only a matter of time before you hit a home run. So check it out. It's an application-based program, and if you get in, we'd love to work with you. Now let's get back to building. And now that we have the design of the landing page, it's time to actually start building the app. So now I'm going to tell it, okay, could you please build a dashboard that people will see when they log into the platform? We will add authentication later. Make sure to say that. And then I'm going to describe exactly how I want the dashboard to look. So basically, it's going to have a left nav. I want it to have a create tab. I want it to have a library tab. The create tab should be the place that people land by default. And the library is going to be where all the saved pitches are. Let's go ahead and click on that and let it do its magic, my friends. Okay, so we ran into a little error here. I'm going to click on try to fix it. Okay, and boom, look at this. Let's make it bigger. Now we have a first experience of what this app might look like. So basically, I click on get started. I will be asked to log in, but now I'm actually building out this experience. So I see create and library on the left-hand side. That's great. Okay, so this is not yet implemented. Let's go ahead and check library. Okay, pitch demo, and we're probably gonna adapt this. So now let's go back and make those little changes. So step one is gonna be click on library. I'm gonna click on, I'm gonna make small edits. So I'm gonna go and click on this, and I'm going to grab this. And then I'm basically gonna say, let's give this, let's make it completely slate, right? I think that's a good color. Excellent, save. And then this line, man, this line's gotta go, right? Please make the nav bar smaller and also make that line a little more subtle. Perfect, that looks a lot better. Okay, now let's move on to the next step. If I come to create, the next thing I wanna do is have this actually function. So when I click on record, nothing happens. Could you please have it record and transcribe my voice? Once I'm done, it should give me the option to generate pitch or re-record that. Once I click on re-record, it should delete that recording and bring me back to this. If I click on generate pitch, it should send the transcription to OpenAI, generate that one-liner in pitch structure, and then I should have the option to save it or delete it. If I save it, it should store in the library. So notice that I'm describing exactly how I want this thing to function step by step. So the more specific you can be about the actual state you would like for it to do and not, the better. And although right now I'm just building out the front end or the functionality on the front end, we're just about to attach it to the back end. I'm gonna show you exactly how that can be done right here in a moment. Okay, and now let's test it out. My idea is for a platform that helps you pitch your startup. It's basically for founders who have a really hard time creating a concise pitch and don't know how to build a pitch deck. Let's see, processing your recording. Excellent, okay. Well, seems like there's, yeah, okay. So it seems like there's some coloring problems here, but let's see here. Okay, and here should be the mock transcript. And then it says generate pitch or re-record, which is actually perfect. So the first thing I'm gonna do here is edit. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna click this, and then I'm gonna change the color here. We're gonna have it be this color. Okay, perfect. Now this looks a little bit better. It looks a little bit more like what I'm looking for. Now, if I go back here and I click off of edit, generate pitch, let's see. Excellent. So this is a mock transcript that is now created, and it has also the pitch deck structure, which is really cool. Problem statement, love it. And it only shows 4 slides for the moment, which is great. If I save to library, boom, it's going to save it. Let's go ahead. This is a library, yeah, and it brings us here. Excellent. And then if I go back to create, excellent. Okay, so the fundamentals here are working. Now let's go to the next step. Okay, so a little edit here. I'm basically gonna tell it to make it a little bit less tall. I think that this, I would like to be able to essentially have it be a little bit smaller. So let's go ahead and adapt that. Excellent. So this is what I was asking for. That's perfect. Let's check out this div, delete. I think it should also have an edit button. So let's go ahead and say, please add a button to edit each card. This should open up the card and allow you to edit the contents of it. Excellent. And now the last little thing I want to do is to just basically adapt this a little bit. So here it's a gray, the color of this font. I would prefer for it to be a black. Let's go ahead and change that for both of these. Let's change them both to a black. Excellent. And now I think that this looks pretty good. As you can see, I'm mainly focusing on some design elements here. So I'll probably adapt a couple more things and then we should be good to roll. Okay, so now I'm gonna come back to the home page, and what I wanna do is add login, log out, sign up, forget password, all that kind of stuff, and that is authentication. To implement authentication, I'm gonna be using Supabase, which is my second tool that I love so much. But what is Supabase? Supabase is a back-end as a service. So basically, it offers a number of different things. First of all, it is a database where you can store all the data inside the app. The second thing it is authentication. So it allows you to create authentication. And you can also have things like edge functions, which allow you to run and bring in more complicated features inside of your app. It also has storage, so you can store large amounts of data if you want, things like videos and stuff like that as well. And it also has real time. Real time is basically when something happens in your app and it has to happen immediately. Someone else has to be able to see it. So for example, in Figma, you can see other people playing around. Well, that is real time. And there are a number of other things you can do with Supabase, but I love this platform so much. It's basically the backend as a service I love the most. And they just raised another round of $200 million. So they are going really, really far. Supabase, I love you guys. And the awesome thing is that it attaches perfectly with Lovable. So to be able to do that, the first thing we need to do is to come in here, click on dashboard. Here I have access to all the projects. I'm gonna create a new one. And we're gonna do this so that we can basically run this new project. So in this case, I'm gonna call this one PitchPal, and we're gonna give it a random password. This doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to create a new project, confirm. Your first 2 projects are for free, by the way. And if you want to check out this tool, you can go ahead and click in the description. Now, as this thing is setting up over here, you're going to have access to your public key. Now, you shouldn't share this with anyone. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and also your URL. You should also copy this one. And again, don't share them, because if not, people can basically come into your project and it's not going to be safe at all. So I'm going to let this basically load. And once it's ready, we're going to move into the next step. Okay, so now it seems like the project is ready, and I can see that because it says status of the project is green. Perfect. And now once this is done, we're going to come back here and we're going to say, okay, we're now going to set up authentication. When someone clicks on the Get Started or Start Recording Now buttons on the website, or maybe I should say landing page, please have the sign up, sign in experience only allow signed in users to access the dashboard experience. Let's go. And here what it's basically going to ask me to do is to connect Supabase. So Supabase, here on the top right, we have that little toggle, and it basically is going to say, hey, let's connect Supabase. So basically, I'm going to click on this next, but we're also just going to see what happens here. And as you can see, click the green Supabase button at the top right. Excellent. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to click on here, boom, and it's going to pop it up. And now it's going to ask me, which one of these projects do I want to attach? Come down here and I can see that I can simply connect. PitchPal down here, boom, connect. Excellent. We're going to connect to this. Excellent. It is now connected. So now I can basically go ahead and close this out, and let's see what it's saying. It's now telling me that I'm connected, that I can have a login, logout experience. It's going to store all the data, which is excellent. And we can also add additional features, as I mentioned, through these edge functions. And we're going to be going into that in just a moment. But first of all, let's start building out this experience. So if I click on Get Started, now it brings me straight here. Now I'm going to tell it that this is not how it should function, right? It should basically bring me to a sign in, sign up experience. Please add authentication pages between the landing page and the dashboard. And this is what's so cool about Supabase, is that it's basically going to see what's inside this project, and then it's automatically going to implement things based on that. In this case, authentication, which means log in, log out, sure, but also who has access to what. So now it says that it's created the auth sign in, sign up pages, and let's test whether this is true. Okay, look at that. So I don't have an account yet, so I'm going to go ahead and create one. Sign up. Please check your email to verify your account. Very good point. One thing I didn't mention is that when you set up your project for the authentication, and by the way, if you check it out here on inside your project, there's authentication. You always want to do one little step that's going to help you, and that is right here. If you go to sign in, sign up, we want to untoggle this email verification, confirm email, because as you can see, it's going to be a real mess when I start testing things out. Every single time I create a new feature, it's obviously every time going to send me a confirmation email, and that's going to be a problem. So I just untoggle that pretty much for every project. You want to do this until you launch. And now I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to go to the sign up. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to create any username and password. Success. So now I go to sign in. I'm going to sign in. Perfect. So this worked perfectly, actually. Now I have access to this, and I'm also going to double check. Now, one thing you want to do, and I'm going to give you a little tutorial here of Supabase real quick, just so you know where to look for things. Here we have a number of different things. As I mentioned, they are your database. We're about to sync that. So basically all the data is linked to my account when I create new pitches, and it's going to be saved. So when I log back in, I get access to that, right? Authentication, sign in, sign up, all of that jazz. Storage over here is going to be, as I said, for like video stuff. Edge functions we're going to implement a little bit afterwards. So now the next step is going to be to come back into Lovable and keep building. And so one thing you want to do is to check that this is set up properly, right? So I just logged in, and now if I go to authentication, boom, I have logged in. And so this shows me, okay, this is properly synced and this is working. The next step is going to be to actually make these features work and have them store, have it create an entire, database structure. And I'll talk about what that means in a moment from the front end. So then I'm going to say, okay, now can you sync the database? Let's go ahead and just input that. And this is really the beauty of this connection. Here we basically have a full log of what's happening here. So it's telling me that it's creating these different tables. So one for the pitches, that it's also implementing row level security, super important, for cybersecurity. It's creating a policy for, you can only see this if you are the one who created it, right? And it's creating all of these policies basically. And now I'm gonna say yes. And you'll notice that you want to understand and dig deeper and see what it's doing as you move along. But literally, if you have no experience, you can also just say yes. And so what's happening here when you synchronize things is that you're moving from local storage, which means that it's only visible on your computer, to actually being stored in this database that your app is retrieving from. So it always has the data and it can just show it on the front end, which is like the user experience or the app experience that you're seeing here. Okay, so it says that it's actually working. So let's kind of test this out right now. First thing, I'm gonna go here and check what's happening. So here, I'll check the database. So what is happening here? It seems like the pitches are linked to the user, right? So this makes a lot of sense, right? If someone is not actually asking for a pitch, then they won't have access to this, right? Excellent. Now let's go and check out the tables, and we can see that there is a table created for pitches. Very good. Now we need to make sure that when we create a pitch, it actually saves it in here. And then there are other things in here that we can also check out. But for the moment, I see that this table is being created. That's what I'm looking for. Columns are basically all the fields. So it's like the ID, the user ID, the title, transcript, structure. And so that we know now works. Let me come back over here. And now we're actually gonna start building out these functionalities so they actually work. Please create a pitch for my idea. It's basically Airbnb, but for pools. Okay, this is a mock-up transcript of your pitch. Excellent. And let's just say generate pitch. Perfect. It's generated the pitch. So now let's save this to library. And it is saving correctly to the library. Excellent. And it also brought me to the library, which is what I was looking for. And if I want to edit, I can edit whatever is here, which is great. And then if I also notice here that, let me just adapt this little thing. So you'll notice little inconsistencies as you move forward. No problem. We know how to fix them. So why should we worry, right? This is good times. And this visual editor has just gotten better as well. It's just really cool to see. But now let's go back and let's actually see inside of the database. Now, if I come in here and I check out the database itself, I'm gonna be able to start seeing, okay, interesting, tables. Let's go and check out these pitches. There is a pitch inside the table. Yay, great success. We have successfully created a pitch here. And if I come in here, table editor, I can click on that. I'm now gonna see that there is a table. And this table is basically the revolutionary AI-powered pitch assistant. Excellent. So I now see that this is indeed working. AI-powered pitch assistant. So this is working. It is storing correctly in the database. And the next step for us is going to be to, surprise, surprise, add a little bit of cool AI. Okay, up until now, it's been getting mock data for the transcription. Could you now make the transcription real? Okay, so let's try this out now. Could you please give me a pitch for my idea? So basically, I'm creating an app that allows people to rent out other people's pools for a couple hours. So think of it like Airbnb, but for pools kind of thing. Look at that. It has grabbed that. And now if I click on generate pitch, and this is gonna be the next step. Okay, so great. We got that working now. And now the next step is going to be to basically start making this data actually work. So like, let's go ahead and adapt this. Okay, now the transcription works, but it seems like it's adding dummy data. So I'm basically asking it to create two options, right? It's either re-record or generate the pitch. So it's basically going to be showing the transcript, and then it just asks it whether or not it wants to move forward or not. If it does want to move forward, we basically are going to tap into OpenAI, and that's the next step we're going to see now. If it does not, then we're going to basically have it come back to this screen. Let's go ahead and click on that. So as this is actually working, I'm gonna have to go and create an OpenAI API key so that I can use it here. So the way I'm gonna do that is jump into OpenAI. And once I'm inside here, I'm going to come here down to API keys. When I click on this, I'm gonna have to create a new key. And this is gonna be specifically for this project. So this project is Pitchpal. I'm gonna go ahead and create that secret key. Now this key, my friends, and I'm not going to be showing it here, but you wanna keep it incredibly secret, because if not, someone else can use your OpenAI key and they can actually use your credits. So keep this very safe. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this. I've created it. Now I can close this, come back into Lovable, and the next step is going to be to add my API key. Now you can see here, it has a secure way of doing this by asking for it like this, so that if someone comes and checks out what you actually wrote inside the history, they won't be able to find your key, which is great. Submit. Okay, so now let's see the results once we fine-tuned a little bit the prompt. Okay, so my idea basically, I am building a platform where you can hire highly trained ninjas to protect your house, kind of like Upwork, where you can hire freelancers, but this is specifically for highly trained samurai ninjas and senseis. Okay, that worked. Generate pitch. Let's see what this gives us. Okay, let's see the results here. Hire elite samurai ninjas for unparalleled home security, merging tradition with modern freelancing convenience. Not a huge fan of this one-liner, so let's see the slides now. And this is great. It actually follows problem, solution, market opportunity, competitive advantage, traction, call to action. Okay, so I would like a couple more slides, so we'll fine-tune it a little bit more. But problem, homeowners face increasing security threats and need reliable protection. Solution, a platform to hire highly trained samurai ninjas offering security services. Okay, all jokes aside, I'm just gonna fine tune it one last time, and this time I'm going to give it very specific references. So for pitch decks, there's this guy, he's called Guy Kawasaki, and he invented the 10-slide pitch deck, which is still till today basically the framework people use to build pitch decks in Silicon Valley. So I'm gonna reference him so that it creates a pitch deck in line with his sort of methodology. And then for the one-liner, I'm gonna use my own framework that I'll tell you in just a bit. So let's jump here into the chat, and I'm gonna say, please use the 10 slides that Guy Kawasaki would use in his methodology. And then for the one-liner, the format is gonna be as such. And so for the framework, we're going with this. Name of company is product description for ideal customer to desired outcome with special sauce. So for We Are No Code, this would look something like this. Name of company. We Are No Code is a online school for non-technical entrepreneurs to build their apps without coding at all. Or maybe with AI, something like that. But basically, I'm gonna use that framework and we're gonna see what it does. Okay, so my startup idea is a hot air balloon rental service for cats who want to discover what flying is like. Okay, so let's check it out. Cat Balloon Adventures is a hot air balloon rental service for adventurous cat owners to let their feline friends experience the thrill of flying with our specially designed pet-friendly balloons. Okay, that's maybe a little exaggerated, but this thing actually works. So this is what the slide deck says now. For the problem, many pet owners struggle to find unique, exciting experiences for their cats, leading to boredom and lack of enrichment. And then the visual is representing customer pain point. Then we have the solution slide, we have a business model slide, underlying magic. Our unique pet-safe balloon design includes secure containment, climate control, and soothing sensory accommodation to ensure an enjoyable experience for cats. Pretty sure if I brought a cat up there, it would freak out. But anyway, let's keep going. Marketing and sales, competition, management team, financial projections, and the timeline. I love this. This actually works pretty well, but more importantly, this app is built and we can now go to the next step. I'm gonna save this, excellent. And now my friends, we're gonna jump into the last part of this. We go to the top right, we can just click publish. And the cool thing is that it lets you know, hey, there's a security issue you might want to review. So you can open this up and you can basically leaked password protection is currently disabled. Okay, but you see how cool this is? You don't actually have to do anything. It just lets you know, hey, there's a little error. Now, of course, leaked passwords is the least of my concerns right now when I'm just trying to get a first app out there. But yeah, now I can click on publish with security issues. And basically, we're going to be able to have a publicly accessible domain normally that we can now launch to. And my friends, it is live. Let's take a spin. Check out my new startup. It is an online platform that helps founders transform their ideas into concrete one-liners and pitch deck outlines in a seconds, leveraging the power of AI. Anyway, so it all pretty much works. If I click on get started, I can basically sign in or sign up here. Excellent. Now it brings us here. I'm now going to allow this to just while visiting this site. Okay, so I'm building a company and basically we teach people how to build their startups and launch them, get first customers, leveraging AI tools. So we basically teach them AI coding and also the methodology to launch their startups, specifically focused on non-technical people. And yeah, our main goal is for them to launch the first app. Generate pitch. Let's see it. Okay, let's look at it. Launchpad AI is a startup training platform for non-technical entrepreneurs to successfully launch their first app using AI tools with a unique hands-on methodology. Actually pretty good. Honestly, I'm probably gonna get all my students from now on to use this tool just so that I can have a concrete pitch in hand. And if I go back and I wanted to go and change where my domain is pointing, I could pretty much come here. I can add my own domain. In this case, I don't actually have a domain tied here, but I could actually continue and connect this domain directly here, and then I would have it on my own .com, .io, or whichever other domain it bought. And I can even go here now and click on buy a domain and basically come to a marketplace that's gonna allow me to do exactly that. Deck Magic. Let's go ahead and check if this is available, and then I can basically buy it straight from here. Look at that, a partnership between Lovable and Ionos. Very cool, deckmagic.com. And that, my friends, is how to build your first app from scratch without writing a single line of code with AI. Lovable, Supabase, match made in heaven, especially for non-technical people. But one thing's important to know, building an app is one thing, and getting customers for it is a completely different thing as well. And unless you know how to master both, I highly recommend that you check out this video, where I'm gonna show you how you can get your first paying customers without coding at all. I hope you liked this video, my friends. Consider subscribing if you did, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's go!